Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight, Saturday Night Racing, for race number 4 of the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series. We're going to be taking the drivers back to Daytona as we are at the road course for the Daytona Grand Prix presented by Max Motorsports here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer, and with me is that of Brandon Robinson. Brandon, we've been flip-flopping on who's in the booth and who isn't in the booth. We're finally back together here for road course racing, fourth race of the season, and the drivers getting ready for nighttime racing here at the Daytona road course, but it certainly should be a good night here tonight.
Yeah, it feels good to be back in here with you, Sam, and you said it. We're back in Daytona. We're under the lights. Some road course action here. Our fourth race with these guys this season. The previous three races, Sam, all being won by three different drivers. So it's anybody's game here tonight, but I've been told in pre-race interviews and pre-game conversations, all eyes tonight on Zachary Paul, looking to repeat from last week's win at Auto Club. Can he win here at the road course?
Yeah, Zach Hall sweeping both of the road courses that were ran last season in Season 3 for the NAISCC Cup Series. So wouldn't be surprised if he starts out strong here tonight, but there are some new faces as we see practice still underway with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left. But it's that of Brian Johnson as well as Mark Whitley, both showing a lot of speed here of late. But man, this is going to be one of the biggest things throughout the night. Who really can step up and get past that of Zach Hall? As you see on course, one of the hardest parts of this whole entire course, what we just drove through. That's the NASCAR chicane, the last part of this course before you come across the start-finish line. Brandon, it's tonight. We're excited for it. 45 laps these drivers have to deal with.
Yeah, with an incident limit of 24 X's too, if you're at an oval course, it's really not a big deal, right? But here at the road courses, I mean, you're going to get a 1X anytime you're off track. You're going to get a 2X if your car spins around and you lose control. And then obviously, Sam, the normal 4Xs for contact and etc. So a 24X limit in normal conditions, you're fine with that. But here tonight at the Daytona Grand Prix presented by Max Motorsports, only 24Xs. All these drivers here tonight going to be given one fast repair, 3 sets of tires. And I think, we get that stage break at lap 20, Sam. I think right there, midway through the race, we're going to see just how dominant these road course ringers are and really the guys that are going to struggle here tonight.
Yeah, and tonight going to be interesting because the drivers, we've been notified, there is going to be no yellow unless there is a full field wreck, meaning we're most likely going to be staying green all the way through. There's going to be no stage caution that comes out. We're racing through at that lap 20 mark unless we see everyone wreck on that first corner, which is possible. It is a very difficult corner these drivers are going to have to deal with it being about 14 corners these drivers have to deal with here tonight. Got a lot of concentration, and with how long this track is, I mean, Brandon, it's 3.56 miles. This is going to be a marathon here tonight.
Yeah, to put that in perspective for the guys watching at home right now, you see it on the NASCAR tower on your left. Sam, Brian Johnson, fast time right now, 1 minute and 52 seconds to get around this track. Now, for some of these other drivers that are at the tail end of this field, well over 2 minutes. We have drivers at, 2 minutes, 13 seconds, 2 minutes, 10 seconds. So for a lot of these drivers, even the fast ones, it's going to feel like a very, very long race. And by the time these drivers are done completing 40 laps, they're not booting up any officials after this. They're going to be resting their arms and their shoulders because this is going to feel like a very long marathon.
Yeah, it certainly will be. Practice is now coming to a conclusion. We know what the drivers that have done before. Zach Hall swept last season, and before that, it was Vincent Sora that was our road course ringer. So we'll see who could be the new road course ringer of the season. Will it be a rookie or a driver that's been here all season long? We'll find out. But one of the more important aspects of road course racing, getting that track position early on, qualifying as drivers hitting the track. As we are hitting the course, do want to give a big thanks to our qualifying results sponsor, that at Simbox Store. You really push our buttons. If you're looking to get yourself into getting a Simbox to try to enhance your gaming system for either, for simulated racing like these drivers are doing here tonight on iRacing, or truck Flight Simulator, Farm Simulator. I think you kind of get it. Even that of Train Simulator, the Simbox store with their Simbox easily connected, works perfectly. Don't even need to download anything, and it's also connected with iFlag, a system that lights up with your Simbox. So tells you when you're green, yellow, or if there's any other flags that are being flashed your way, your Simbox can send it to you. If you want more details, go to the Simbox store on Facebook or on their eBay for Simbox. Simbox store, you really push our buttons. As drivers hitting the track, getting ready for qualifying, Brandon, these drivers have 10 minutes to try to put down the best lap, but you touched on it, the incident points, that's also a way to invalidate your lap here for qualifying.
Yeah, that's right. Anytime these drivers, and it's the same with ovals too. In qualifying, if you brush the wall, you get that 1x. Any 1x is going to invalidate that time. Same thing here with the road courses. If these guys pick up even an off track with a 1x, it's going to invalidate. We'll see just how many drivers can actually turn in a clean lap. I assume this field, for the majority, will, but all it takes is that 1x, Sam, and you're out there not qualifying and you're starting in the back of the pack.
Yeah, most of these drivers still on their warm-up lap. Their times have not even counted yet, as we're on board with 13 of Cedric Hunter, our Season 3 champion. And for Cedric Hunter, he's now going through the bus stop section, and this is the second to last of one of the more treacherous parts, and to get back out onto the actual oval surface. And I think that's one of the cooler things about, the Roval, also that of the Daytona road course, the fact that they also integrate the oval racetrack with also the infield road course aspects.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit of a feel of normalcy out there. These drivers are really going to have to focus, though, on these bus stops and these chicanes. Anytime you take a stock car and you put it on the road course, there's a few things that really stick out more than others, and that's going to be engine braking, downshifting, and Sam, it's really easy to do, getting on that throttle a little bit too early and going around. These drivers are really going to have to focus on making sure their car is settled before they make any brass moves out there with their car.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're now seeing the 13, Cedric Hunter going to be going through the infield section of this course and going to be going by that first corner. The first corner going to be known as the International Horseshoe, then through the dog leg, and then coming into this part, this is the West Horseshoe that Cedric Hunter is going through as he goes around the west end, goes straight, roaring into turn 6, which this is the out section, known as the in and out part of this course. When you get back out onto the oval part, here comes the 13 back onto the racing surface, and this would be actually the start of the oval part of this racetrack, turn 1 into turn 2, as he's roaring into where the bus stop or the chicane would be known.
Yeah, and that part the 13 car of Cedric Hunter just left, that's going to be a area of emphasis here tonight, because you're coming down a bit of a longer front stretch as far as the road course area goes. You're shifting all the way down to first, maybe second gear, and you're taking a very hard left-hand turn before reaching the oval part of the track that you mentioned, Sam. And I've seen so many people lose it there, get that 2X, they spin the rear around. So there's going to be a few parts of the track that we really got to keep our eye on, but entries and exits all over this track are going to be crucial.
Yeah, you got to be smooth, ease into the brakes, and ease out, and also ease into the throttle. Don't want to get too giddy of kind of dropping the hammer every time you get out of these corners. It's Cedric Hunter topping the board on his first lap. As you see it on the left, it's going to continuously cycle through who's top of the board. And here comes Zach. Oh, you see him go dipping underneath the double yellow line. It's legal to do so here, as we are on the road course section, not at the super speedway oval course. So, hey, we can see some drivers trying to make some passes under the double yellow once we get to on-track racing. But top of the board after that first lap cycle, it's going to be Brian Johnson, Vincent Sora, the top two.
Yeah, Brian Johnson coming in with a 152.7. Pretty convincing over Vincent Sora there. Almost a half second. Cedric Hunter going to drop there to third with a 153.47. I'm interested to see the 32 car of Zach Hall in his time. You can see the Freaky Fast broadcasting on the quarter panels of his black and pink car. Of course, October, heading into November, it's all about breast cancer awareness. You see the ribbon right there behind that passenger window. So a lot of drivers, doing what they can to spread the cause. It's a really good thing. But here on the track, interested to see what this 32 does here in this qualifying session.
Absolutely. I mean, for that of Zach Hull, it's going to be so interesting coming into tonight because he's got all of the pressure on him. Like we've been noting on, came into tonight kind of the odds-on favorite, but when you have that much pressure and the target on your back, drivers either, thrive off of that or sometimes they start to falter. We'll see if Zach Hall can come into this race and succeed. Coming off his win last week at Auto Club, kind of an underdog story for this 32 team, and we'll see how well he can do as he's coming around here the NASCAR chicane before he comes across the start-finish line. Currently, still, it's Johnson, top of the board. Here comes Zach Hall finishing out his qualifying and going to be dipping it low, trying to get a little bit of speed. And for that of Hall, going to be only up to 8th. So a little bit of a kind of a struggle, you'd say, but only 8th place for the favorite coming into tonight.
Yeah, and that might be disappointing for him, but the one thing about road course racing, more than anything, especially with stock cars and stock car drivers, there's always going to be a freebie in front of you. There's always going to be a guy going off track. You can be as fast as you want to be in practice and qualifying, but when you're out there on the race, Sam, you have 40 laps, and that is a long time and a lot of laps to stay consistent with your braking zones, your engine braking, your downshifting, coming down into pit road, making your way through lap traffic. There, 8th place, he's going to be fine. He drops there to 9th. He might even drop to 10th before this is all said and done. But a guy like Zach Hall, coming off those 2 wins last year, knows what he's doing. I don't think he's worried about it. He knows his consistency here at the road courses. You can easily pick up 3 or 4 spots a race just by being consistent.
Absolutely, as we see James Tremmel currently on track trying to put down a time, only having about 2 more minutes left. So if Tremmel could possibly get to the line here in just about 3 seconds, he might have a chance for another lap. But looking at the board, there are 9 drivers, there, Brandon, that are deciding not to even qualify here. And we have 30 plus drivers that are going to be for the race. So this is going to be a call as Tremmel 17th on the board after that lap.
Yeah, and I think you see that a lot of times in officials leagues. A lot of guys, they're not going to qualify. They know they don't have the speed to be up front. They're going to take it easy. Some of these guys, Sam, might even just be their goal for the night is just to finish the race, especially having one fast repair. That could be gone very quickly here. So having 9, 10 drivers not qualify, hang out in the back, not too surprising. What is surprising with this league, as I look at the licenses, there are a lot of A-class, B-class, and C-class drivers on the road here tonight in this league. So I'm really looking forward to a good race. I think there's a lot of skill out there on the track tonight, and it's just so beautiful here, Daytona Road Course under the lights.
Yeah, as we're watching the 14, as Jesse Thordick going to be just parking it, finishing out his time. So you threw it out, license. Can you explain a little bit more to the audience that maybe don't know what that means, a little bit more what those licenses mean?
Yeah, sure. So especially in iRacing, let's just stick with the ovals, for example, or any class really, oval, dirt, road course racing. You have to progress through iRacing. Everybody starts off as a rookie. And safety rating is how you progress through the licenses. So you go from rookie to D, C, B, and A, with A obviously being the ultimate achievement here at iRacing. Now, how do you get safety rating? By not going off the track, by avoiding those 4 X's, by not wrecking out in the races that you perform in the officials here at iRacing. So to see a lot of guys, a good group of guys that primarily do ovals, to see them do so well on the road course side of things is really impressive.
Certainly is. As drivers qualifying has come to a close, that means it's time for us to get ready to see where the drivers lie as drivers are getting gridded up and ready to go. Big thanks to our primary sponsor for the NAISCC Cup Series. It's Track Racer. Track Racer, refined gaming. If you're getting ready to make a racing rig, or if you are just finishing up, hey, Track Racers got you covered. If you'd like to get a discount code, go on to Facebook and look up NAISCC and ask them to get a discount code from Track Racer Refined Gaming. As here is your Simbox store qualifying results. On the pole position, it's going to be that of Brian P. Johnson with Vincent Sora to the outside. Row 2, going to be Cedric Hunter and Mark Whitley. Thomas Green, your victor from Atlanta, going to be in 5th place, starting at row number 3, with our Daytona victor of Nick Crawford in 6th place. Row number 4, going to be that of Jarrett Talmadge, and Champ, our champion from season 1 and 2, it's that of Tom Sinchek. Row number 5, going to be having that of Zach Hall, our winner from last week at Auto Club, as well as Maurice Gomillion, as we head over to that of Brandon for the rest of our top 20.
Right outside the top 10 there, Ryan Bird in 11th, Max Foner 12th, Danny Cochran, Aaron Kralik 13th and 14th, Patrick Hernandez, Thomas Walter 15th and 16th. It's James Trammell there right in that 17th spot on the inside of Alex Light, who's going to be in 18th, Ryan Ferraro in 19th, and Tyler Dangler rounding out the top 20.
In 21st, it's going to be that of Martin Morales, and Dakota Moniz is going to be in 22nd. Jesse Thordick going to be in that of 23rd, with that of Jonathan Pittman in 24th. James Loveland going to be in 25th, with Dylan Walterman going to be in 26th. 27th going to be the new 6th driver. It's going to be that of Zach Comella, who's going to be taking over that position, as that of Causey has actually dropped out of the league, so no longer going to be seeing Causey anymore. In 28th, it's going to be that of David Medina in 9th, as well as Adam Westfield in 29th. 30th, going to be that of Kyle Rochelle. 31st, going to be Sean Hutt-Stutler, Ryan Lewis in 32nd, Gregory Shaw in 33rd, Jacob Waltzer in 34th, and in 35th, it's Aaron Jackson. Brandon, 35 drivers hitting the track here as they're rolling on. They're going to be on the backstretch starting out, so they don't have to do a full course of pacing. But man, 35 drivers. They've got to be careful. It looks like David Medina, if he does log in, though, will have to start from pit road. So 34 on track.
Yeah, it's pretty, I mean, that's a lot of cars. That's a pretty big field here. And as exciting as that is, and it's going to be amazing to watch and to call, that means there's going to be a lot of lap traffic for these guys up here, Sam. And I'm interested to see just how well they're going to be able to work around each other.
Absolutely. Again, Brian Johnson, Vincent Sora going to be your front two. The drivers that are further back, got to watch out for. James Loveland's been quick at road courses. Also been hearing David Medina is going to be a driver to watch out for. Kyle Rochelle. Those are drivers 25th on back. A lot of work for themselves, but here tonight, it's time to see who can conquer the Daytona Grand Prix here at Daytona's road course. Green flag out of the air. It's going to be Brian Johnson, Vincent Sora side by side as they roar down the front stretch and head into turn number 1. Drivers got to be careful not to run each other over, and already wheels wheeling and tail ends screeching as we're getting through turn 1, somehow surviving into the S's.
Yeah, a phenomenal job as we head our way through the S's. I don't think a single incident happening through there, or at least none that is noteworthy. One thing we're going to see a lot tonight, I think, as the race goes on, people locking up brakes heading into that turn 1 stand. But right now, a phenomenal job by all these drivers to keep this clean here at the start.
It's going to be all single file racing throughout the whole entire field. Up front, it's Brian Johnson. Vincent Sora is falling back to 3rd. Cedric Hunter up to 2nd. As you're seeing drivers now going into the west end of this course, trying to make sure they do not run each other over. But this is when things get interesting as we're starting to get back onto the oval surface.
Yeah, and Cedric in that 13 car had a really good run on Brian Johnson. That's that part of the track, Sam, that I was talking to you about. That's going to be a key emphasis here. He had a really good run on Brian Johnson, took it a little bit too wide, maybe even collected a 1X there, but you just see, you go off track, the amount of momentum as he makes it all back there now makes me look like a fool, but lost a little momentum on that part of the track, took it up just a little too wide on that corner exit.
We're going to fall back to 6th place. You see Zach Hall, Thomas Green. They were just side by side entering that of the bus stop, and somehow Zach Hall not being collected with the wreck. And that is going to be something throughout the night. Watch out for Thomas Green and Talmadge teammates. We saw them being able to race very well at Atlanta, but we'll see how well they can try to hold off one another going into here at a road course. As a lot of the drivers felt so excited to come to a road course event. They felt like it was going to be a lot more about skill than it was about the aero package that the drivers have kind of been complaining about all season long. But now it's all about who can conquer the road course.
Yeah, and it really will. I mean, road courses, especially Daytona road course, when you look at a Road America, very, very driver friendly in the stock cars. Watkins Glen as well. Daytona road course, it can be a friendly racetrack, but I just feel like there's a little bit more involved with this road course. There's some more hairpins. You see our race leader, Brian Johnson, going into this dog leg left. You're taking that almost flat out, by the way. I mean, these guys may be a little bit of a lift, but they're going pretty fast here. And Daytona road course, definitely a skilled track. And again, I can't emphasize enough, for 40 laps, you have to be laser focused every single time.
Yeah, the Daytona road course, more well known for the Rolex 24 hours, where you've got, a lot of different vehicles that are made for road course racing. These drivers, though, they're racing practically bricks on a surface. As Steven Sore going wide, Mark Whitley trying to make a pass, but not able to. But it is been hearing from a lot of the drivers. It's difficult to get around those first couple of laps. You feel like you got a lot of grip, but you also can throw all that traction away if you are too aggressive too early. So I've been hearing patience might be the biggest thing here tonight.
And it will be, as we're on board with Mark Whitley there. You see him almost get a little bit loose there. He hangs on to it, but, that backstretch right there, if you want to call it a backstretch, that long straight into that first bus stop. I mean, it's not only going to be one of the most difficult parts of the track, Sam, but unfortunately, it's also going to be the best position to do overtakes here tonight. So that's going to be another key emphasis that we look at here tonight, that really long straight on the back there, because that's where a lot of these drivers are going to get their runs, and they might start peaking there on the inside. It's still early, lap 3, but as this race progresses, that's going to be something that a lot of these drivers take a risk and poke their head on the inside. Then we'll start seeing some action.
Oh, absolutely. And the action that we're seeing right now is up front. It's all the battling from third back to that of 6. Zach Hall's now climbed up, and Mark Whitley trying to go to the inside. But there's a lot of tracks and cars up front. But here comes Mark Whitley. Got to be careful not to lose too much ground as Nick Crawford wanting to get moving and going forward. The 11 already has won here at Daytona, but that was on the oval course, trying to win the road course version if he could possibly start making some more passes, as we also see the battling that's going on for 7th place. Basically, our top 3 from Atlanta all on top of one another.
Yeah, and, speaking of that 11 car and where he's at, right behind him, that 32 car of Zach Hall. You think he was worried about qualifying 9th to 10th? I don't think so. He's already up 3 spots in that 6th, breathing down Nick Crawford. You see him on the outside there on the oval part of the track, and we'll see. But again, Zach Hall in a fine position. He's already moving up 3, maybe even 4 spots right here.
After that pass, it is now officially 4, as those are not teammates officially, but more of allies. Zach Hall from that of Category 5 Esports, and then from Magnitude 9, it's Nick Crawford, and they make that pass going by, as it's going to be Zach Hall now going after that of Mark Whitley, who just kind of gives up that position as well. So 2 easy passes, it looks like, for the 32, as Mark Whitley did not get through the bus stop as cleanly as he could have.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about, Sam, before this race started, is there's no sweat here. Drivers will make mistakes in front of you. There's going to be some free track positions up. Zach Hall, he's very, very fast here, but he's also been one of the most consistent drivers out there right now. You saw the mistake by a couple of these drivers that has allowed Zach Hall to now climb into that 4th spot. Back up front, though, Sam, Brian Johnson, he's almost built himself a 2-second lead on Cedric Hunter, and it's still growing, and a 4+ second lead on 3rd place Vincent Sora. So there's that stage break. Yes, that's going to get these cars together, but right now Brian Johnson in full control of this race.
Oh, absolutely. And where the chaos is throughout this race is up front. They're kind of starting to space out from one another. It's this racing action from that of 7th on back. Tom Sinchek starting to pull away. Jared Thomas trying to do a similar thing, but it's all been around that of Thomas Green, Gomillion, as well as Thomas Walter that we're seeing in the middle of this group. They're racing hard, and we're seeing the 8 machine trying to pull away and be a little bit more consistent here, but already, Brandon, I'm looking at these lap times. Our leader's already almost a second off of what he was running previously. I know there's also that consistency that you're looking for, but tire wear's already kicked in just the first 4 laps.
Yeah, and of course it'll continue for sure, but this isn't like your normal oval tire consumption, and a lot can play into it, not just being aggressive on your tires, but if you're a little late in the braking zone and you start wheel hopping or you start locking up your brakes, that's going to have an effect on your tires. So take a normal Daytona tire wear and multiply it by about 10, and that's what we're going to see out here on the road course.
Oh, absolutely. And right behind, I mean, we're seeing drivers trying to make as many moves as possible. And speaking of big moves, this of Gregory Shaw, the 66, one of our bigger movers of the night. The second most moves being made is this 66, who started further back, started back in 32nd position, already now up 10 positions up to set 22nd. And now going to be trying to make, and has already just going to miss completely that NASCAR chicane. He's going to have to come to a complete stop. Will do so, but all that momentum goes away. And Gregory Shaw, we saw this Monday night just a couple of weeks ago at Lime Rock Park. The 66 has had a lot of troubles whenever he's trying to make some passes at the chicane or just chicanes in general.
Yeah, and that's okay. It's early in the race. He knows he's got the speed. He knows he's got the skill to be able to make some passes. You said it. At the time, it was 10 spots up. Now he's lost 3, but he just needs to shake that off. He knows what he did wrong. Maybe he was trying a little more aggressive there than he should be, but he'll be able to bounce back from that as the 3 car goes around, though.
3, Alex Light goes around at the International Horseshoe and now has to get back into the throttle. And that International Horseshoe, that is going to be a real emphasis for these drivers. The older the run goes on, the more you try to get back into the throttle. And we're going to talk about a lack of grip throughout the night and heating up these tires, getting hard in the brakes, getting back on the throttle. That's a lot of wear and tear and heat that gets built up. And you can really loop it around on the exit of these corners. It's James Loveland, another one of those drivers I noted on. That's going to be a driver to watch out as he'll move forward slowly here. Currently up 3 positions. He's got that of Sean Hutzstettler right behind him in the 94, who's now up 7, as well as Gregory Shaw trying to rebound after missing the chicane. A lot of these drivers further back been making a lot of good moves forward. The driver that's made the biggest moves forward, though, in 18th position, it's that of Kyle Rochelle. All on his lonesome, but slowly catching up to that of James Tremmel. Up 11 positions, biggest mover is that of Kyle Rochelle.
Yeah, and I think he was one of those drivers, Sam, that chose not to throw down a qualifying lap. And you know, it wasn't just about not feeling comfortable or not being able to put down a fast time. A lot of times with these road courses, you qualify just because you expect that first lap mayhem or chaos that we didn't see here tonight. So it wasn't a bad strategy by the guys that didn't qualify. It's just maybe they look back at that and say, you know, lap 1 went pretty good. Maybe next time I'll lay down a qualifying time. But either way, Kyle Rochelle in the zone right now, up another spot as he passes James Tremmel up to 17th.
Yeah, making that pass, as well as we're going to be watching this battle for 13th. This has got Danny Cochran as well as that of Thomas Green right on top of one another, as well as the 0-1 of Andrew Kralik, who's going to be deciding where he wants to go. But the 31 and the 2, well known for being some of the most vocal over the radio throughout races, and right now keeping it close with one another. But gotta say, for Thomas Green, he is struggling early. One of our biggest losers, you could say, down 8 positions from where he qualified.
Yeah, going through a little bit of a struggle here as he falls back to 13th. Gonna have to figure something out, though. I mean, yeah, it's still early in the race, but dropping back 8 spots is not a good sign for any driver at any race. But again, the mental grind that these road courses take, you got to find anything to build momentum on. With him losing those 8 spots here early on, you hope that he's not doubting himself or starts having more struggles as we go through this race, because like I said, there's still plenty of race to be had.
Absolutely. We do want to give note, there are 2 drivers that honestly not this race has not gone the way they wanted. Dave Medina missing out on just showing up for the grid, continuing to have issues for himself, as well as Zach Camella going to be our first official DNF of the evening. So the 6 already done in just the first 5 laps of the race.
Yeah, unfortunate for that, but Again, for the 18 car, I was just taking a look at. He's pretty beat up here. He might now. Is this car still drivable? Time will tell. But he gets a little bit loose there coming out there. Now he's onto that oval part of the track. But I don't know if we can get a replay of what happened with there, if it pops up in the live timing or not. But he might have to come down pit road here, Sam, and use that one fast repair early, or he could try to risk it. There's that stage break coming up, but lap 70, still a long way to go before that first break.
Yeah, we don't have that replay exactly, nor do we have the replay on what happened to the 41, but I do believe both these drivers did make contact with the 6 around the first, 2 or 3 laps of this race. Oh boy, airborne, and that's what these chicanes and bumps can do, is if you hit the turtles just right, you can go airborne for a quick second.
Well, we'll keep checking in on this 18 car, but I tell you right now, that is not a healthy looking car, and it being a road course, you really want to make sure that your equipment is up to par and taken care of. And right now, I think we're only going to continue to see that 18 car struggle the longer he stays out.
Yeah, and what makes it worse is the fact that there will be no yellow for the stage break on lap 20. So drivers that are just staying out, they're just doing it for their mental state, it looks like, instead of just trying to repair the car, get back out there, try to make up that time that you could try to get for yourself. You already noted on 3 tire sets in pit road for this race, so drivers do have an extra set if wanted. Was told the laps that these drivers can go is about 20 laps for fuel. That's about the max that they can go. So drivers, just by making one stop, looks like they won't be able to make it on a one stop. Might have to make a couple of strategy calls on when they want to make their second stop of the night. And also, do you want to undercut on that first stop or not?
As I take a look at the live timing here, Zach Hall, look out, up 7 spots, finds himself up there in second. But because of all the racing that has gone behind Brian Johnson so early into the race, he's got almost a 5.5 second lead over Zach Hall. But he's the guy that we told you guys to keep your eye on. He had a bad qualifying lap, but here he is, lap 8, Zach Hall back into second place.
Yeah, and you can see where the time has been gained and lost for that of Zach Hall. Look, when it's in the positive, that means that Brian Johnson's pulling away. It was lap 4 when really Zach Hall had clean air. He wasn't trying to battle anyone. We'll see this go around if the 32 can gain any time. But right now, Brian Johnson doing a great job for himself up front and, hey, holding off and doing exactly what he needs to do. I mean, he qualified up front, got our pole position, and I talked about how track position so important early on. Zach Hall qualified all the way back in 9th place. He's been on the comeback, and he's had to run down everyone here tonight. He'll have to do it again if he wants to get the victory, but there's still a lot of racing to go.
If you look at the NASCAR tower on the left hand of your screen, there's 3 drivers marked in blue. Everybody at home, those have been the 3 different drivers to win a race here. And we have 2 of them within the top 6 right there. Zach Hall in second, Crawford in 6th. I believe our 3rd driver's back there in 13th, but he's on the move here. So all previous racers here, Sam, really putting themselves in crucial track positions early on here at Daytona.
Yeah, I can see it there now. 13, Thomas Green, our Atlanta winner. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where the guys that have already won, the pressure's off. All they need to do is just show up for the races, and they're going to be, making it into the playoffs. Top 16 in points. Unless you've got a win, that also bumps you in. But 16 drivers get a race for the playoffs. So, hey, you're trying to make sure you get these wins early on. But Zach, that last time, gained 4/10. This race isn't over yet if you're gaining that much time in just one lap.
Well, I'll tell you what, Brian Johnson, last lap, 156.09. Zach Hall, 155.67. So he's definitely running a faster pace than Brian Johnson right now. Mr. Johnson does own, I believe, the best lap of the night so far with a 153.44. But your best lap, you're only as good as your last lap. And right now, Zach Hall is owning the last lap right now, Brian Johnson, and continuing to close the gap on Brian Johnson.
Oh, absolutely. And continues to do so as we see the gap continuing to dwindle down. We're actually going to fall back through that of 11th position and see this pack that's just been closing into one another. Ryan Bird in 10th place, trying to hold off the heavy contenders behind him. As that is Max Foner, as well as Thomas Walter, Danny Cochran, Thomas Green. They're still keeping it pretty close, trying to race with that of the 49 of Ryan Bird.
Yeah, Ryan Burns still gatekeeping that top 10 there. He's the 49 car coming off the turn there onto this backstretch before hitting the bus stop. But yeah, you called it, Jack. Not only this group that they're in right there, but there's a group behind them, 3 cars, pretty much single file as well. These guys keeping it pretty close here. Again, with the stage break, nobody's got a hard charge anybody right now, but certainly you're feeding off each other and you're feeding off your own lap times. Again, with the road course aspect coming into it, it's very easy to go out there and struggle early on, and for the rest of the race you're just mentally done, right? A lot of these drivers right around that top 10, back to that 15, 16, running really smooth laps right now, single file, and these guys setting themselves up really good for that first stage break.
Yeah, and still seeing teammates running around one another. This being Mark Whitley, Nick Crawford battling for that 5th place position, and this 5th place position very important, as when the drivers, whoever in the top 5, they're going to be finding themselves, getting points for themselves, as drivers over the radio seem to be having some issues with one another, as it looked like it was the 13 having some issues of Cedric Hunter that was over the radio. He actually had contact with a lap machine.
Yeah, sorry about that. 31 car just shooting through one of those turns. He hits the tire barrier. But yeah, I turned up the voice chat not too many laps ago. Haven't really heard anything, Sam. It's been quiet for the most part, but frustration starting to come in here with a couple of these drivers, as these drivers, again, going back to the focus here, you can have one really good lap, and then your next lap, all it takes is missing one braking zone, and you're in the rear end of another car. Tempers start to flare, and we can't repeat what was said in the voice chat on this broadcast, but it's getting a little spicy out there.
Oh, absolutely. As you noted on it, that of Thomas Green. He went into the tire barriers, got some nose damage. He's still running out on track. You saw a little bit, in an earlier picture of the 13 of Cedric Hunter. He's got the front end damage from being brake checked by the 41 of Ryan Lewis. He was a lap down car trying to get out of the way, but Ryan Lewis, 2 weeks in a row, kind of doing some not smart decisions. The 41 already heavily damaged, and just adding on top of it. Lewis, he's got to clean this action up. He's a rookie coming into this race, but at the same time, you can't be ruining the races of drivers that are in the top 5 or just on the lead lap.
Yeah, and that stuff, that really sticks with you as well. And, everybody gives you the benefit of the doubt, the first time, or maybe you have a good reason. But, and of course, he's not out here doing it maliciously. As you see him struggling through the NASCAR chicane there, and I think he is coming down pit road now. But that's the kind of stuff that sticks with you in a league right there. You definitely don't want to start painting your back as a target, as a guy who goes out there and ruins other people's races. So he's coming down pit road. We'll see if he's going to park it, or if he's just coming down and getting a quick repair to try to take care of some of that damage. And hopefully, that takes care of some of these mistakes, because when you have damage like that on your car, Sam, it really does affect what's happening out there on the track.
Oh, absolutely it does. We'll give you another report on what's going on with Ryan Lewis, as he's still getting service done. Do want to give note, we noted on the 31 going into the tire barrier, had another issue of overcooking his tires at the NASCAR chicane, and has just decided to park it for the day. Thomas Green, our Atlanta winner, he can just show up for these races, doesn't need to really finish up front every night, but the 31 is done for the evening.
Well, and everything you said was true, but at the same time, even in a long season, you do get a couple of races that you can kind of throw away or drop, but you certainly don't want to start losing momentum as the season goes through. You want to stay consistent and, really stick it, good results throughout the entire season.
Yeah, these drivers do need to finish in the top 20 in points, but you can have kind of these mulligan nights where you just feel like, you know what, we're just going to park it for the night. There's been a lot of drivers that have done well already this season, are trying to continue on. I mean, last week, right, for Zach Hall, he came into last week 33rd in points and then got the win. Still needing to have some good points day for himself, but as the race continues on, for one of our first drivers that was in the top 10 into pit road, the 11 of Nick Crawford coming into pit road for himself. a little bit early for what I would think coming into pit road, but hey, sometimes you got to make these oddball strategies if you're running that sixth, fifth position if you want to go for the win.
Well, in 8 laps to the stage right now, he might be thinking to himself, and I don't know if the math would even work. He might have been just having some struggles with his tire wear and wanting to come down a little bit earlier than the other drivers. But yeah, certainly you have to wonder what's going on with that 11 car as everybody else proceeds to stay out, especially the cars in front of him. It didn't look, Sam, like he had any damage on there. So I'm assuming he's just trying to play it safe. Maybe those tires are starting to wear and other drivers are more comfortable with worn tires and others aren't. So we see the 11 car come down just a little bit early.
Yeah, and I was notified that these drivers can only go 20 laps on fuel. So it could be the fact that Nick Crawford's just trying to undercut, recognizing, hey, I still got to do one more pit stop. Let's just come split this thing into thirds and we'll make it to the end from that point on. And so expect to maybe see this 11 team coming to pit road, maybe around lap, 25 to 30 could be the window that we're looking for Nick Crawford to come into the pit road next. But I do want to fall back to 18th position. On our ticker, it's a little. We're going to be seeing, it's Ryan Ferraro on that of our telemetry. But for us in the booth, they actually messed up for the league. Ryan Ferraro in the 12 actually it comes up as race control on my end, which I was notified. Hey, he might have something different with his name because they accidentally forgot Ryan Ferraro, known for running race controls on Monday nights. So just forgot to change things up, but start seeing a heat of the battle for that 16th position as there goes that of Dakota Moniz in the 5, falling back. Patrick Hernandez trying to hold on.
Patrick Hernandez had a really good run at the Oval Daytona, if I believe, Sam, the first race that you and I did together. I remember calling him out a little bit. He's doing just fine here. Look, he qualified 15th in that 19 Toyota. He's only lost one spot. Now, the guy in front of him, Kyle Rochelle, up 10 seconds here. So from 15th on back, these guys are way off pace as Kyle Rochelle right there in 15th has an almost 11-second lead on Patrick Hernandez. But I think for a driver like Patrick, who qualified 15th, to be right there in 16th, whether you're keeping pace or not, a very solid night here. And, we did say before we went green, some of these drivers, Sam, their goal tonight is just to be able to finish the race. And right now, that 19 car doing a swell job.
And this crew's got to be careful because Ryan Lewis just got back out on track after manually repairing the 41. He's just letting all these drivers go. And you noted on the fact that this dog leg that these drivers just drove by, you can practically go full throttle. Well, that was the position where Lewis actually just slammed on the brakes in front of that of Cedric Hunter, our Season 3 champion. So for the 41, it looks like he's learned better this go around not to be in the way of the other drivers, but very sketchy situation because lap traffic, it could be the demise of some of these front runners.
Yeah, and you really can. You can fly through that dog leg. And there's parts of the track here tonight, including that one and some others, that you really just have to race confident in, because if you don't, if you're hitting your brakes through there, especially where he did, you're going to struggle. And you're already, multiple laps down here. Now, he didn't make any contact, so I'm not trying to gang up on Ryan Lewis here. He did a great job allowing those cars to go. But there's some parts of this track where you might not think your stock car can go through quicker, but you most certainly can, and he'll pick that up. The more experience he has on road, he'll understand that, and he'll do just fine.
Absolutely, as the drivers are now on lap 14. Again, stage 1 comes to a conclusion on lap 40. I mean lap 20, excuse me, for these drivers. So they've got to make sure that they're up in the top 5, as only the top 5 will get bonus points for themselves. The leader getting 5 points, and will dwindle down by 1 point until we get to that 5th place driver that gets 1 point for himself. So a lot of work that needs to be done as more drivers peeling off into pit road. Kyle Rochelle, who was up in the top 15 and just getting done with service for that one machine.
Yeah, and right now you look at the top 5. Brian Johnson, still your race leader. Zach Hall, excuse me. It looked like he was going to put a dent in that gap between them. He's actually lost time. He's almost back to a second or 7 seconds. Did Brian Johnson go down pit road? I don't know why he's in the blue on my lifetime. Excuse me. But Zach really not being able to close the gap. Brian Johnson still in complete control of this race. Vincent Sora third, Cedric Hunter fourth, and Mark Whitley fifth. But behind Mark Whitley in sixth, he's got an 8-second lead on Tom Senchak. So I think it's safe to say, unless something tragic happens, Mark Whitley putting himself in a really good spot to walk away with some bonus points.
Yeah, trying to get those bonus points. Also got to worry about Fuel, who can make it, as we're on lap 15 of 45. We're actually going to step aside for a quick moment. When we come back, we'll be seeing the end of stage number 1 for these drivers, as Mark Whitley, as well as Cedric Hunter, into pit road. We'll see how these drivers with this strategy work out for themselves. We'll be right back here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting.
To be the best, you can't settle for the rest. There's a reason that McConey Setup Shop is trusted by more virtual and real-world tracks and companies than any other setup shop in iRacing. With partners such as Stafford Motor Speedway, the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, Five Flag Speedway, Speed 51, and more. When you want something done right, you go to the experts at McConey Setup Shop.
With setups available for most series on both asphalt and dirt, built by a team of professional builders consisting of some of the top talents on the service, McConey Setup Shop LLC has what you need to hit the track with confidence. Head over to McConeySetupShop.com and learn why McConey Setup Shop is the official setup shop of Richmond Raceway Esports and is partnered with some of the largest names in virtual and real racing.
And remember, at McConey Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Freaky Fast Broadcasting is brought to you by ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Use the promo code FreakyFast20 for 20% off. That's Freaky with 2 E's. FreakyFast20 for 20% off getting your Gamer 2 or any other essentials from ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. As well as McConey Setup Shop. They're our setups, but they're your victories. If you're looking to get 10% off at McConey Setup Shop for any of their setups, from dirt to asphalt racing, use the promo code FFB10 for 10% off. Again, that is FFB10 for 10% off at McConey Setup Shop. Again, it's our setups, but they're your victories. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us here tonight on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. It's the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series for race number 4 at the Daytona Grand Prix, presented by Max Motorsports. It has been a great race so far. Green racing. There's been a lot of incidents of drivers on track, but we're not looking to have any full course yellows throughout the night as we're entering closer and closer to the end of stage 1 that is going to be on lap 20. Already we've seen some drivers up front come into pit road and get some service done, but it has really been the Brian Johnson show. He came into pit road, then Zach Hall came into pit road. We saw a cycle of that. Currently, it's Johnson up front, leading the way in the 28 with that of Maurice Gomillion, who is not pitted yet. It's that 44 in second, but it's Nick Crawford as well as Zach Hall going to be the finishers of the top 4 with Vincent Sora in that 5th place position. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is that of Brandon Robinson, Robert Moyer Jr. being our producer here tonight. Thanks for joining us on your Saturday night evening as drivers are up front. Brandon, pit cycle still underway.
Yeah, they are. And to be honest with you, I had to go to my iRacing live timing and double check that I was on the live feed. It did not take Brian Johnson long at all to come down pit road and regain the lead. Zach Hall now out there back onto the track, still sitting in 4th position, but Brian Johnson is cooking tonight. I figured it would have taken him a little bit longer, maybe even hit the stage break before he even sniffed that top spot once more. But that 28 car, nothing else can be said except he is dialed in.
Yeah, and the big reason, I think, for the reason that Brian Johnson is still so far ahead is the lap before Zach Hall came into pit road, had a little bit of a slower lap than expected, went off track a couple of times, then got back onto the racing surface. So that's why we're seeing the 32 back and forth instead of battling for the lead currently, as you see Jonathan Pittman getting back on course. But a driver that has been known for being the road course ringer back in season 1, Vincent Sora, currently in that 5th place position, as again, only the top 5 get bonus points. Currently, Sora's in that 5th place position.
Yeah, and Vincent Sora right now, one of the only drivers alongside Mark Whitley and Brian Johnson, who's still right around their best lap times. If you look at Vincent Sora, he's still in the 155s. Brian Johnson's still in the 153s. Of course, he has fresh tires, so that makes sense. But these guys throughout the night, there's not a whole lot of drop-off for some of these drivers. They are sticking it to it. They're right around their best laps of the night. Tom Semchek as well. He ran a 154.7 just now. That's his best lap of the night. So maybe a driver who's been holding out on us a little bit, sandbagging, might be Tom Semchek in that 8 machine, as he just ran his best lap of the night.
Yeah, Tom Semchek kind of going with the more patient and hoping that the consistency will carry forward. And Tom Semchek never really has been known for being the best at road coursing, more of just a consistent enough to get a good finish. It's been a lot more of those ovals where we see the 8 really thrive, and that's how he won his first 2 championships here in the NAISCC Cup Series for season 1 and 2. And right now, Tom Semchek's 7th place currently, but up front, gotta say, still very surprised at the fact that Maurice Gomillion still decided to still stay out for the 44, and still are waiting for Gomillion as well as Jarrett Talmadge to come to pit road. Everyone else have already made their first pit stop for the evening.
Wow, and it looks like maybe a little bit of save fueling here. Maurice Gomillion, he's up 5 spots. He qualified P10. He really hasn't been up there in the top 5 except as of recent. So you have to think drivers like him, like you said, playing the patient game, maybe doing some save fueling and taking it easy there. And it looks like he might be trying to just take this to stage 1.
But he's got to try to hold off that of Mark Whitley in the 77, who's coming with a lot of speed for himself. And then also behind them is going to be that of Jacob Watson, a rookie of the 54. Haven't really talked about Watson that much, as here comes that of Mark Whitley, who's going to be ducking it to the left side, I mean to the right side, making the pass easily is the 77. Is, whoo, Watson, you can see he's got some grip in that 54 machine, almost running over Gomillion. And here comes Watson, going to be trying to possibly give a little bit of a bump to our 6th place runner.
Yeah, things getting a little hot there, and these drivers know stage one come to an end here. Mark Whitley in that 77 car, man, he was quick through that section, being able to make the pass on to Maurice Gamillion. I mean, some of these guys really starting to come into form here.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's going to be a big thing for a lot of these drivers. They're all trying to find that extra little bit of speed for that of Mark Whitley. And then he picked up and made the pass on Gamillion. One of the better spots to try to make a pass on a driver that you know you got a better launch is. Here comes that of Watson once again. Again, got a reminder that Watson is going to be on those fresher tires, is already pitted. Yes, he's a lap down, but he's actually going to completely just we're going to be seeing the 44 going to pit road here, as looks like we still have one more lap to go here in the stage. It's the conclusion of the lap. Once we see that, you know, stage one is over. So Gamillion, after being passed for that 5th place position, thought, hey, I'm not racing for those bonus points anymore. I'm just going to come into pit road.
Yeah, and that's fine. And with Jacob Watson, you mentioned he was a lap down, but I think he's the first car that is a lap down, and so he's going to set himself up very good. He'll be back on the lead lap here shortly. He knows it. No rush there. He can confidently race to the end of this stage break. Lap 20 here. This is the last lap of the first stage. As my co-pilot Sam mentioned, top 5 drivers getting bonus points. Mark Whitley in the 77 car with that huge aggressive move just a lap ago. He's got 12 seconds now behind him to Tom Senchak. So a risk that paid off. He had the line. He took advantage of it, and he's going to end this lap with some bonus points.
And, you know, I'm looking at, you know, all the drivers coming into this race, all having one fast repair here tonight, meaning if you've got any type of damage, come into pit road, utilize that fast repair, and you get a brand new car, fresh engine, and you're set to ride. Well, some of the drivers that are up front already have used their fast repairs. Zach Hall, our winner from last week at an Auto Club, and also won both of the road courses last season. The 32 already has used his fast repair on that first pit stop. I think that's another reason why he was losing so much ground. Wasn't really gaining on Brian Johnson, but because of all that time that was lost, the difference over 12 seconds currently is Brian Johnson over second place of Zach Hall.
Yeah, and that's a big key there, because when these guys go back, there's going to be 25 laps left. So, you know, we're going to get them bunched back up. It's going to be a 2-wide restart, and already using your fast repair. I mean, you're still going to race confident, especially a driver like Zach Hall. If you're worried about your fast repair, you're already racing cautious. You're putting yourself out of the race. But the point still stands. That 32 car, who struggled here tonight to make any ground on Brian Johnson, already putting himself behind the 8 ball if something were to happen here late race, because I believe Brian Johnson still has his fast repair, Vincent Sora, and Nick Crawford. So there's a lot of guys up here in the top 5 who I believe still have that one fast repair.
Yeah, almost the whole entire top 10, except for Zach Hall, still have their fast repair. The next driver is that of Cedric Hunter, that still needs to, who has a fast repair that has already been used. Other drivers that have used fast repairs, Maurice, that of Dakota Moniz, and then falling all the way back to the end of the field, that's where we find that of Ryan Lewis, who has already used his fast repair, but is already the 41 back into pit road, getting service done. Might be calling it a night, as here we see the 22, Tyler Dengler, driver we really haven't talked about that much here tonight. He's staying right where he qualified in that of 20th position, but that 22 looking clean for a driver that has not used the fast repair yet.
Yeah, it really is, and consistency being shown by another driver here, starting 20th. He's still in 20th. You look at his best lap time, 157.20. His last lap, a 158. So yeah, it's you know, there's a difference there, but nothing to be concerned about. That 22 car of Tyler Dengler, he'll be fine. And you know, there's going to be some free spots. We still got 25 laps to go here. And so he's just kind of cruise control right now.
Absolutely. You saw James Loveland trying to make a pass through the dog leg, but kind of got pinched, didn't feel comfortable, and going to be falling to 21st position. Was looking at some of the stats for the drivers. For that Tyler Dengler, a driver that currently is now into the top 20, but doesn't have, you know, any notable finishes so far this season. Hasn't finished inside of the top top 10 at all, as the 22 just pulls it off course. And issues for the 22 machine, came in a little bit too hot into the corner and just ducked it into the off track. And now back on course, we talk about Tyler Dangler and issues strike. I think you'd probably want us to stop talking to him at this point.
Yeah, he might have been watching the stream there, heard his name called, and was looking over on his third or fourth monitor, because it looked like he just completely missed his brakes there. So unfortunate for Tyler Dangler. He had picked up a spot and was up to 19th, and now unfortunately back to 22nd. So some bad luck for the 22 car, but it looks like his car is in good condition. I don't think he's going to have to worry about, he'll have to look at engine temps. Obviously, he knows that more than we do, but just looking at the front end of the 22 car, he's going to be fine.
Yeah, it didn't look like he hit anything, just drove and decided, you know, I'm not going to make this corner. We're going to go to the off axis. I'll back up, get back onto the track. And away the 22 goes as the driver behind Tyler Dangler, who we've been seeing on our cameras. It's that of Adam Westfield, a driver that, you know, kind of similar to a lot of our other drivers out here. Not the most well-known of road course speed, but just trying to go for consistency until we get to some of those bigger courses like Auto Club and Michigan. I think that's really where we find that Westfield has the most speed and succeeds, is those super speedway-like tracks where you have to worry about that tire rubber, as you see that of the 88 just right now in kind of cruise control, all in kind of no man's land, which in some drivers, they love it when they're racing by no one at a road course. Other drivers, this is kind of well, I don't really know where my markers are, as he slowly is catching up to other drivers. Sean Hutzstetler, though, the 94, off course and right in front of our top drivers.
Yeah, we're going to have to be careful here as some of these front drivers, these lead drivers, make their way through these back markers here. They're going to have to really play it safe, because all it's going to take is one lapped car to not have the confidence. And you know, when you want the leader to go by, the best thing that you can be is predictable. You, in road racing, you allow the leader coming up to choose or to work around you. So if you're on that inside line, you need to stay on the inside line. It's up to the guy that's getting ready to lap you to work around you. But we'll see how that plays out longer in the race. So far, it's been pretty successful, but as you say, I mean, all it takes is one little incident there, as we see the 44 car with a pretty big lick, and he's off track there.
Was running up front, but issues ahead of the 44. We're going to throw it into a replay to see exactly what happened to have this heavy damage on the 44. As we take a look here, you're going to see that Maurice Gomillion come into turn number 1, but look out for the 21 machine. That's going to be Jonathan Pittman. Pittman's going to get loose out of the corner, and the 44 is going to have nowhere to go. As we're actually going to get another look at this, as we're coming up to a lot of racing action throughout the track, but coming into this corner, Brandon, I mean, when you're coming into turn 1 on the exit, it's a blind corner. You're not expecting to see these types of issues.
Yeah, and with these brakes on the stock car, look, there's no ABS here. It's not like they could stop on a dime. So it's just unfortunate that the 21 car got around, like you said. The 44 car, not really expecting that 21 car to be sideways, and by the time he saw it, these cars, they just don't have that much braking power here on the road courses. So unfortunate for him. He's staying out there. We'll see if he comes down pit road for that fast repair. He's obviously losing or lost a big chunk of his race car up front, so that could be detrimental on that car moving forward.
Absolutely. He's now going to limp into pit road. Another driver that's the limp it you saw run into the 44. That's where that rear end damage came from. Ryan Bird in the 49 also involved in that wreck. And just looking at the pace of the 49, looks like he's underpowered, as we'll see if Gomillion decides to come into pit road this time by, or could be that the 44 could stretch it another 2 laps. Hope that he doesn't blow his engine. That way he's inside of the window to at least make it to the end of this race, but at the cost of losing a lot of time and ground by not coming to the pit road.
Yeah, and that's really up to his discretion. If he looks at that relative, as long as he's not seeing that red name, which would be the leaders of this race, maybe he does stick it out there and wait if he can. But again, Sam, so much damage to that front end. I'm going to be really surprised if he can make it 3 or 4 laps in the condition of his car.
Oh, absolutely. That is the biggest thing. When you've got heavy front end damage, it is always how bad is that engine damage and can the engine hold out before blowing up as the 12, Ryan Ferraro getting some fun action into turn number one. It's where the 12 and a lot of drivers have been having issues for themselves, as we also saw kind of a quick second. You thought it was a blur. The 20, James Tremmell was off track.
Yeah, and really, that's you're coming off that front stretch there, Sam. It's such a huge amount of speed and momentum going down into turn one. It's very delicate because you are coming up to a sharp left-hander, but as you're making your way to that, it does start to turn already. So it's not like you're braking in a straight line. And that's where we've seen some drivers make some mistakes, but it's a very common part of this track to do so. So a little bit of drift action there, but he was able to hang on to it and save it. A fine job there.
And do you want to give an update of drivers that have been in pit road trying to get repairs done? Ryan Lewis looks to be parking it for the evening, as he has been not having the best night here tonight at the Daytona Grand Prix. But do want to note this, Brandon, looking at some of the drivers and where they lie, we were just seeing the picture of the 20 and the 19 battling. That is the end of the lead lap drivers, and that's a good, 3-4 drivers that are on top of one another. Our leader is about less than 8 seconds away from catching up those drivers, and when our leader catches up to a large pack of lap cars at a road course, that is a recipe for disaster to happen.
Well, but you know what? That's sometimes when strategy can come into play, right? And it's an 8-second gap between Johnson and Patrick Hernandez, James Trammell there on the lead lap. If these guys stay out, it really depends on when Brian catches them. If his pit window is open, he might not even try to pass this group of drivers. He might just say, hey, I'm reaching this pack. I don't want to risk it. It's not just a single car where I can move them out, or ask for the pass. So when he does, or if he does, catch the tail end of the guys on lead lap, I would assume he's going to take the time to come down pit road so he doesn't have to fuss with that.
We're actually going to ride on board with our leader, the 28 of Brian Johnson, this lap, and get a sense of what it's like tackling this road course, as we're just about 5 laps past halfway, 20 laps to go, and the window is now finally open for these drivers to make it to the end if they decide to come into pit road. But Brandon, the infield, a lot of drivers have noted on it, the lights, yes, you can see the track most of the time, but the lights do not fully illuminate this course at all times.
Well, and that's where practice comes into play. A lot of these drivers were in that practice session early on before the broadcast, before we went green. And, you really got to make sure that you know the track. Of course you're relying on the lights to see the track, but you want to rely more on that, right? You want to rely more on just the visuals. You want to rely on the muscle memory, the feel of the car, just the practice laps in general. Is really what that's going to come down to, because the track, the lights don't light it up all the way, but it's good enough to be able to see where you're going. And if you ran those practice laps like you should have for a race like this, I really don't see it being that much of a factor.
Yeah, no, it really shouldn't be, as that of Brian Johnson catching up to Patrick Hernandez. That's going to be the next lap car, and then 4 seconds ahead of them is the group of James Loveland, Gregory Shaw, as well as that of Ryan Ferraro, that he's just ahead of these two. You can kind of see those 3 upcoming drivers as coming by the turtles. Those turtles or rumble strips are the thing that can utterly destroy and ruin your night if you are not careful. As here comes Brian Johnson attacking on the inside, going to turn number 1, cleanly making the pass, as that was a lap here at the Indianapolis road course. Here at the Daytona road course, as I don't know where I'm at right now. Road course racing has always been something new for me, and terrible as, oh boy, driver off track, and that actually teleport, that was Ryan Ferraro.
Well, if I may try to take a stab, my guess would be you were talking about the rumble strips earlier in the season. IRL, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, destroyed those cars all weekend long. So we'll cut you some slack there. I think it's going to haunt a lot of people what we saw at Indianapolis road course earlier in the season. Oh, the 49 car almost gets pushed off the track. A good save by the 49. and he's going to keep on trucking there. But you got to wonder, I think that car coming on the inside of him there, Sam, almost scared him.
A little bit. Those drivers were right on top of one another as Ryan Bird, Aaron Kralik, both are racing for position at that moment. And whew, luckily, they didn't completely take each other out, but definitely a scary moment for the drivers and where they were lying as, again, Ryan Bird's still racing with that front end damage that he got earlier on when he ran into Gomillion, who ran into Pittman earlier. So 49 underpowered, also dealing with some front end damage. Could have been messing with his front toe in the steering, but still at least running in the top 15.
Yeah, still having a pretty productive night there. Going through a little bit of struggles here, but at least he's able to keep it out. After that damage had happened, if his engine was going to blow and his engine temps were not workable, he would have already been down pit road. So right now, like you said earlier when it happened, he might just be trying to stay out there until that pit that we're going to have here under green. Back up front, though, Brian Johnson, I know we've talked about his domination here so far, but, you know, coming into the race, Zach Hall was the favorite, and Zach Hall 11 seconds behind Brian Johnson. So if you're a betting man and you put the money on the 28 car, you did a good job, but I don't think anybody expected, Sam, to see an 11-second lead between the first and second driver.
No, absolutely not. And you know, you start to see the times, you know, pitching back and forth from 10, you know, to 11 seconds, the difference, but Zach Hall doing the best that he can to try to catch up, but it is staying pretty stable to 11 seconds now as some of our front runners making their first pit stop of the night. Looks like that of Nick Crawford going to be going into pit road as we've been riding on with the one dead of the night. It's Kyle Rochelle, and his car is so just blacked out. It's even hard to tell what car he is when you're riding here unless you know his helmet.
Yeah, Kyle Rochelle there. It doesn't look too bad as far as any damage goes on that car, so I think he's in the clear there. But, you know, advantage to the one car. You reported some guys complaining about the lighting situation. He's jet black out there. These guys can't see him coming, so advantage to Kyle Rochelle rocking the all black there tonight. Maurice Gomillion, though, he was up front for a long time. We saw the struggles that he had. He smacked that tire barrier. Sam, I'm really surprised that he did not have to come down pit road. You see the front of his car. It is just all the way gone there, but he's able to hold on to it and drive it. He's back in 14th. If he comes down after these green flag pit stops, gets his quick repair, we'll see just how much time he can make up as a driver who was up towards the front is now struggling back in the mid-pack.
Yeah, in mid-pack, same with Ryan Bird. Both drivers that were involved in that incident have been falling kind of back together as we're taking a nice shot of the drivers attacking the NASCAR chicane, the last chicane, and some drivers just missing it. As that was Gregory Shaw having issues as more drivers go on by. But, you know, it's one of those corners, you know, where drivers, this has been probably the biggest frustration for some, is they do exactly what we just saw there from the 94 of Sean Hutztetler. They just hit that rumble strip and that bumper, and it just launches the car up, and you feel completely out of control at a moment where you're hoping when your tires land, your race isn't over.
Yeah, and you're hoping that you're not banging up anything with the car and the suspension or your splitter and you know, all the things that can go into that. But if you watch the guys IRL, especially at the Roval here at the Daytona road course, those guys are bouncing off these rumble strips pretty aggressively. So I think iRacing's done a really good job of implementing that into the simulator. Of course, iRacing.com being the official simulator of NASCAR. Maybe a little bit of work to do on that, but they've done a really terrific job of simulating the IRL stock cars here on road courses. And we're seeing that here a little bit tonight.
Oh, absolutely. Is Walterman having issues in front of our leader as Brian Johnson gets by the 99 that had troubles entering the chicane, but pit lane getting busy as a lot of front runners into pit road. It's Cedric Hunter who we're seeing just leaving his pit box. Aaron Kralik, Ryan Bird, all coming into pit road this time by, and plenty of others before. I mean, Gregory Shaw already came into pit road to get his service done. Mark Morales has already done his final money stop. Dylan Walterman has already done his money stop, as well as Jonathan Pittman. Drivers further back, Nick Crawford also came in a lap ago, and now our leader, Brian Johnson, hitting pit road.
Yeah, Brian Johnson coming down. Is Cedric Hunter no surprise there? Remember, he's on that early pit strategy. He pitted lap 12, I think, which was more than a few laps compared to Zach Hall and Brian Johnson. Hall going to take over the race lead there, deciding to stay out, I believe. Yeah, so he's going to be out there. But, you know, Cedric Hunter coming down early, not a surprise there. But with 16 laps to go, I'm surprised Brian Johnson's coming down now. But he might just want a fresh set of tires and take the next 8 or 10 laps to just have fresh tires and grow that lead even more as we get down to maybe the 3 to 4 laps to go. Instead of a 10-second lead, he's got a 15-second lead.
Hoping that maybe this will help himself out. But thank you so much here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us, as this is our last October broadcast. One of our last October broadcasts. Can't wait to see, you know, throughout this season. This is only race number 4. Brandon and, you know, all these drivers that have been struggling early on, you know, there's still a lot of racing to come back from. But up front, it's Zach Hall, Vincent Sora. Brian Johnson's only in 3rd after his pit stop. That's crazy to think. That is how big of a lead he has. Even with making his pit stop, he only falls back to 3rd.
Yeah, and only 18 seconds, by the way, behind Zach Hall. But if the race stays this way and Brian Johnson continues to dominate this race, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, 4 races in, 4 different winners of the season?
That would be correct, and also would be the first, you know, if Brian Johnson wins, his first win of the season, our most dominant driver last season. I believe he won about 7 races last season, so it would not be surprised to see the driver that's been dominating last season carry over a little bit of momentum. But 4 different races, 4 different winners. Hey, that is a great way to start the season, as Zach Hall now hitting pit road, and in front of him is going to be that of Thomas Talmadge. Actually, I take that back. That's actually Loveland, who's into pit road.
As I take a quick look at your Discord picture, and then take another quick look at the driver's side of Zach Hall, it almost looks like he's got your picture on his car. Did you send him a little selfie before the race to add to his car? Right there above the Magnitude 9. It almost looks identical.
Oh, that's Brian Johnson. That's Brian Johnson's car. Yeah, that was... oh,
yeah, sorry.
Brian's got a lot of different faces on that 28 machine. He's got, you know, Cedric Hunter right on the hood, and then I'm on the side, and then on the back, you've also got Zach Hall and Cedric Hunter as well on the back end. On the rear bumper, you can kind of see that's Mr. Clean with Brandon Colley's face on the rear bumper, and this was a complete concoction. Big credit to that of Danny Cochran that actually made this scheme for Brian Johnson.
Yeah, you thought you were going to get away with me not catching that, but there it is right there. Freaky Fast's very own Sam Dreyer on the side of the 28 car of Brian Johnson, as he does what we expected, Sam, back up to 14 seconds and growing, as Zach Hall inevitably comes back down pit road for his green flag pit stop. And right now, I really don't think anything's going to stop Brian Johnson from winning this race.
No, it is going to have to be either a massive mistake on his part or someone getting into that of the 28. But yeah, you kind of see my head with a giraffe neck. There is I'm a very tall fellow, and so when high school, I got the nickname Giraffe, so it always just stuck through life for me. And so I just made a very quick Photoshop edit, sent it to that of Danny Cochran, and say, hey, why not slap this on the meme car? And I got 2 spots in the car while other people only got 1.
Well, I'm sure we've all been called worse. So if your nickname was Giraffe, then take that as a W right now.
Oh, absolutely. I'll take it. I mean, I'm 6'9". I think most people would think that that's a giraffe height.
Yeah, 6'9". I mean, I could only dream of being 6'9". That's insane.
Oh yeah. I went to
that's ducking through door frames tall.
That's I went to the zoo once, right? And I talked to the zookeepers, asked, how would I fit in the zoo? Like, would I fit with the giraffes? Or like, well, for a 1 month old giraffe, yeah, you would fit just right. I guess 1 month old giraffes can be up to 6'9". So, hey, I could technically be a giraffe for a month. As we continue to see the dominance, but yeah, no, I love this scheme so much. There's so many more little like Easter eggs that are on. Our cameras are just, it's hard to get the in-depth pictures, but there is so much on that vehicle. As Zach Hall back in second, still struggling 13 seconds back. Part of this is because Brian Johnson's been so consistent, but also that qualifying run, qualifying to 9th place, that was not the start that Zach Hall needed for this race at all.
And another car to point out, and I don't have it in front of me, but Nick Crawford in the 11 car, maybe he still has to come down for his green flag pit stop, but if not, climbing his way back up to third. If I remember correctly, he struggled a little bit at the beginning of this race, got into, I think, even a wreck at one point, if I'm not mistaken. But nonetheless, certainly losing spots. Man, what a beautiful bus stop there. I mean, that was awesome by the 11 car, but a good rebound by Nick Crawford either way, back up to third.
Yeah, I think we saw Nick Crawford fall back to around 7th at one moment just because he overcooked those tires in the first run. But hey, that's what the real whole entire 45 laps and 2 pit stops can give you, is on that first pit stop, that first stint you're on those tires, get a lot of information. How aggressive do I need to be? Do I need a lesson? How quick I need to come into pit road? And also, Nick Crawford has gone with the early pit stops. He's been one of the drivers that comes into pit road first for these first 2 stints. That's where he's gained the most time, but because of how long these runs can be, we got 13 laps still to go, and he's got Vincent Soar in the 15 right on his back bumper as they're trying to make the pass on the 9, and will do so here swiftly, as well as having Jesse Thordick to their outside. It's pandemonium for the drivers that are in 3rd and 4th.
Some contact there on the 15 to the 11, I think. But, speaking of passing the 9, one of my favorites coming in here tonight was the 9 car of David Medina. Sam, he wasn't able to make the beginning of this race, but 28 laps down, being able to enter the lobby and throw down some laps, I think a lot of drivers would have said, well, I didn't make the start of the race, I'm out of here. So good to see drivers like David Medina out there with the league, getting some laps in with everybody and building a rapport, regardless if you got a shot of placing or not.
Absolutely. You saw Nick Crawford still trying to defend and hold off that of Vincent Sora, but doing so, not able to. He almost was thinking about diving into the corner, but 3-lap older tires is on the 11 machine, just not able to even try to defend Vincent Sora. That moves up to 3rd place. And for Vincent Sora, I think if anything, he's got to take this as a kind of a victory, getting the top 3 finish for the 15 team that's been finding a lot of success Monday nights for that of the NAISCC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series, where the 15's been the points leader. And actually on Monday night, gonna have a kind of a bounty of sorts. Texas race, whoever can beat out that of Vincent Sora has the opportunity of getting some cash, or if Vincent Sora wins the race, he'll also get a little bit of money and change. So there's a lot of money involved Monday night here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, same night and same time as Saturday night's NAISCC drivers. Gonna be at that of 8:55 is when we're gonna be live here Eastern on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Excited to see the racing going on as we still see this battle for 3rd. Nick Crawford not giving up, but with those older tires, it's going to be difficult to even try to make a surge back at the 15.
Yeah, it really is. And we see him overdrive, or not overdrive, but he gets loose on the last 2 corner exits there as he's trying to keep pace with Vincent Sora. But, Vincent qualified P2 here. So to see him up there in 3rd is no surprise here. I don't think he's going to be able to catch Zach Hall and reclaim that 2nd. And there's that 11 car still drifting. So to your point, Sam, Vincent's on the fresher tires. Nick, if I'm him, I think he's going to have to kiss that podium goodbye and quit overdriving his car, because if he continues to try to keep pace with Vincent Sora, not only is he not going to get to 3rd, but he might lose to Mark Whitley, Tom Sinchak. I mean, Mark's only 6 seconds behind him, so he might have to take a step back here. He's had a really rough lap here as far as, keeping his car stable.
Yeah, we'll see how Mark Whitley, if he can catch up as our last driver to make an official stop, and everyone else should be good from here on out, is going to be that of Jarrett Talmadge getting out of pit road. But you see through the bus stop, still plenty of racing. 11 laps to go. We're going to make our final commercial break of the evening. When we come back, will Brian Johnson still be able to hold off, or will Zach Holt be able to come back and take a victory? As you see, still hard racing all over the place. But for us, we're going to take a quick break. Be right back in just a few on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, for the final 9 laps here at the Daytona Grand Prix. And Lots of different racing battles going on. Most of it's been lap cars and lead lap cars side by side trying to hold off, except for this battle. It's for 9th place. Danny Cochran, Thomas Walter, right on top of one another. Drivers that have had issues last week at Auto Club. We'll see if they can get their quos away from one another, but into the bus stop, right on top of one another. And here comes Thomas Walter, but it's Danny Cochran with a better launch out of the exit into what would be the oval turn 3. They got one more chicane before they finish out this lap. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here for the NAISCC race car, that of the Track Racer, Track Racer Cup Series. As going into the final chicanes, it's still Danny Cochran holding off Thomas Walter for the Daytona Grand Prix, presented by Max Motorsports here at the Daytona Road Course. Thank you for joining us on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is that of Brandon Robinson, with Robert Moyer running productions. 9 laps to go, soon to be 8 laps to go. Been a lot of hard racing in these first 37 laps there, Brandon, but still, it's Brian Johnson up front. The rest of the field trying to figure out how to survive this course.
Yeah, Zach Hall about 8.5 seconds behind, and you know, we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast that qualifying of Zach Hall was probably going to be fine and it wasn't going to affect him. And I think for the most part, if that 28 car wasn't out there, I would have been absolutely correct. But unfortunately, Brian Johnson, for me, not for him, is having just a heck of a night. You see him up there 8.25 now over Zach Hall. So you brought up the point. Not a good qualifying lap, started 9th. It's going to come back to bite him as long as Brian can keep it clean. And that commercial break turned up voice comms there. Brian Johnson on the radio asking these lap cars for some room, and they have been giving it to him. So right now, I don't think Brian Johnson has anything to worry about just completing these next 8 laps.
And, you know, with the lap cars trying to give a little bit more room, we noted on this earlier in the broadcast, you know, Brandon, incident points. We have been running for 38 laps, and we knew at some point drivers wouldn't have to be worried about how many incident points they have. And if you're trying to get out of the way of the leader, some drivers like to just dump it out into the grass or just get out of the way, which could damage their car. A lot of these lap cars, they might not be able to really get out of the way unless they could get disqualified for it.
Yeah, that's right. 1X for an off track, 2X's for a loss of control, and then the standard 4X for contact. And you're not really worried about contact at this point. We've seen a few incidences between drivers out here, but there's been a lot of off track. So will that come into play later in the race? Time will tell. But I think that is a very good point. If you're a driver, you're sitting there with 20 X's at this point just because you're having a bad night with the off tracks, that might come into play as Brian Johnson tries to navigate his way through these lap traffic cars.
Yeah, lap traffic going to continue to be an issue for our leader. 7 laps to go here tonight. Big thanks to everyone's been a part of this. And if Brian Johnson wins here tonight, could be our 4th winner of 4 races. We touched on it a little bit earlier, but I got to say that is an incredible feat for this whole entire league, and also kind of shows for this Cup car, anyone could come out and win any week this season.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a really competitive league. Zach Hall's name comes up a lot, but he's down in the points right now. And will he make his way through the standings? Of course he will. But there's a lot of drivers ahead of him. And I know he gets a lot of attention, and for good reason. But this league is full of stacked drivers. And I think, honestly, especially for the viewers that are watching and maybe us here broadcasting this, most of the time when you tune into a road course with the stock car, you see the driver all the way off there. That's the 99 car, giving room for these drivers that are a lap ahead of him. You tend to believe that you're going to watch a mess out there. And right now we have just seen phenomenal racing here, not just with the guys that are up front, but the guys that are back in 10th, 12th, 15th. Everybody just showing a very good display of road course racing here tonight.
Oh, absolutely. As we continue to cycle through where some of the battles are on track for position 17, you see the 66, that of Gregory Shaw, as well as that of James Loveland battling with one another. And Loveland's trying to gain a little bit of time on fresher tires than the 66. As these drivers run them down. 7 laps to go, coming up to 6 laps to go. It has been incredible to see Brian Johnson, Zach Hall up front been showing well, and you see throughout the rest of the field, we only have 13 drivers left on the lead lap. The question is, will we have 10 drivers on the lead lap by the end of this race?
Well, I'll tell you, there's a very good battle brewing right now between Nick Crawford in 4th and Mark Whitley in 5th, the 11 and the 77. There's a little bit of a gap now between each other, but this entire lap that they are about to complete, these guys were bumper to bumper on the backstretch there. Mark Whitley was as close to the left quarter panel of Nick Crawford. He had to kind of give that up as they were making their way into the bus stop. I think right there, the 11 car just having a really good chicane over Mark Whitley, but that was a really good battle for that lap. And I'm wondering if, you know, the 11 car, we talked about how he had to tone it down. He was trying to overdrive it a little bit, trying to keep up with Vincent Sora. Is that going to come into play here to, you know, for this top 5 battle that we have going on right now between Crawford and Whitley?
Well, also the drivers we were just watching before. I mean, you got Shaw and Loveland right in front of this battle. And for Nick Crawford, as well as that of Mark Whitley, they're going to be trying their best to get by these drivers that are a lap down, but at the same time, they're racing for position. And that means they aren't just going to lay over and let these guys go. But as I say that, though, Loveland just gets out of the way quickly. And now we'll see what Gregory Shaw wants to do. The 66, we've seen him. He debuted last season, but officially became a rookie at the start of this season for the 66. So he's got a reputation at this point, Gregory Shaw does, of being very aggressive. We'll see if Gregory Shaw can try to hold off, as he's got some of the drivers of Nick Crawford and Mark Whitley closing in time. 6 laps to go, coming up 5 laps to go. We're in that is Daytona, Florida, and if you're actually in Florida as well, big thanks to a new sponsor that we're going to be talking about. That's Uniformity. That is Uniformity, as with the T, such as a t-shirt. It's a Jacksonville, Florida, best place to find medical scrubs as well as accessories. Uniformity is proud to be an official provider, uniform provider for the Baptist Health employees. If you'd like to get any more information, go hit them up online at Uniformities, as they would love to help you out if you're in the Jacksonville, Florida area. As we continue to watch, more drivers of lap service going to be in front of those drivers ahead, as you see Gregory Shaw slowly being ran down, but Shaw's now also got to be careful because he's going to be having some issues. Goes high, gets out of the way, and luckily wasn't too bad. Shaw out of the way quickly, but now Shaw's got to be fighting back because here comes Loveland.
Well, yeah, and you know, before that shout out there, we saw James Loveland kind of go up onto the track, and we see an off track there. The 11 almost making contact with the 77, but you know, Loveland, he knew, hey, look, I'm only fighting for 15th here with Dakota and James, excuse me. So he kind of gave that spot up. He gave that race up, Shaw did, to allow those lead lap drivers through, and we saw the same thing with the 56 car doing the same there. Now he went off track a little bit, the 66 of Gregory Shaw did, but both those drivers executing that just about as good as they can to make sure that these lead lap cars make their way through.
Absolutely, and with how easy that kind of a pass was, we're now kind of seeing most of the field spreading out. 5 laps to go. It's Brian Johnson up front with a little bit less than 7.5 seconds between himself and Zach Hall. Hall at this point needs major issues to happen to that of Brian Johnson. You know, they're still on allied teams, but former teammates, that of Zach Hall and Brian Johnson, used to race underneath the Category 5 esports team, but after last season, the dominating run from Category 5, actually had to split up and have Brian Johnson make his own team. So he picked up drivers, that of Nick Crawford, Mark Whitley, and also Hunter Hayward, made Magnitude 9, and they've been doing fabulous. Magnitude 9 has been doing great start of this season. But big shout out to the 51, Max Motorsports. He has been one of the head sponsors for tonight's race, as tonight's race is the Daytona Grand Prix presented by Max Motorsports, and Max Foner currently in 8th position. Great run for this 51 team that's just looking to be a lot more consistent and looking for his second top 10 finish of the season.
Yeah, that's right. Up 4 spots. He qualified in 12th. He's looking to get out of here with a top 10, which looking at the relative right now, he's got 22 seconds over Danny Cochran. Right now, though, Danny Cochran with his hands full with Thomas Walter. That might be the closest race going on right now between him and the 57 car. But both those guys looking to secure a top 10 along with Max Foner. Walter in the 57 car has found himself up 6 spots, qualified 16th, and he's right there gatekeeping that 10th spot, about 3.5 in front of Ryan Bird.
Looking at the times, doing a little bit of quick math to figure out, hey, how far away are these drivers from that of Brian Johnson? And Johnson currently looking like might be about 2 laps shy from putting that of Thomas Walter a lap down, but also trying to make the pass on the 44 of Maurice Gilmillion, putting down 12th place runner a lap down. But Maurice Gilmillion up to 12th. We noted on it much earlier, heavy contact between himself and Pittman that ripped away that front bumper, front clip of the 44, and as well that of Ryan Bird, who's in 11th. Both drivers involved in that wreck, but hey, a 12th place run isn't too bad with how awful that car was looking earlier on, and luckily he still had a fast repair.
Yeah, that's right. And that's a good point, Sam, because, sometimes in these deeper leagues, right, this is a very deep league, and there is a lot of drivers that showed up for this race. This wasn't one of those where half the field was like, hey, I'm taking a drop week and I'm not going to be there. If you have a bad night, maybe last place is 12th or 13th or 14th, and you're feeling like, crap and you did bad out there. But to be able to rebound in such a deep league, in a deep field here tonight, if he walks away with the top 12, I think he can go away feeling pretty good about himself.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, at this point, the 44 Maurice Gilmillion coming up shy, almost winning last week. Had a top 5 finish last week, his only top 5 and only top 10 of the season so far. But at the same time, comes in with a great start for this 44 team, comes in 6th in points into this race. So, if you're having a top 12 run or top 15 run, remember, it's the top 16 in points that get to race for a championship and into the playoffs. And you'll take a top 12 early on, even with being in 6th in points coming into this race.
Well, and especially with it being a road course as well, Sam. If these guys that are finishing in the top 12, the top 10, this is probably going to be the most stressful race on the schedule for them, at least mentally. These guys may be tuning in some extra lap times for themselves to try to get better here tonight. Once they get back on those ovals, they're in their comfort zone. So for some of these drivers that are finishing really well for themselves, considering it is a road course, I think they'll be ecstatic.
Oh, absolutely. 2 laps to go, and you see it on the ticker, the difference almost 8 seconds between that of Brian Johnson and Zach Hall. And all that Johnson needs to do is just run smooth with anything. I mean, Brandon Johnson could just lay back and actually run about a second slower than what he's running right now and still have the lead.
Yeah, he really could. I don't think he will, though. I just watched him take that dogleg left there into this horseshoe, and he was flying. So I think right now he's just in the zone. He doesn't want to change up too much. Sometimes when you let off the gas, not only physically but figuratively, is when you start making mistakes. So right now the best thing that he can do is, if he does want to give up just a little bit, it's got to be just that, a tiny bit. He's ran such a clean, fast race here tonight. My advice to him, keep hitting the exact same lines, the exact same braking zones. Don't let off too much, because that's when you really start to lose focus and make mistakes.
It's all about rhythm at this point. Brian Johnson in first place, Zach Hall in second, Vincent Sora in third, Mark Whitley in fourth, fifth goes Nick Crawford. Our whole entire top 5, practically everyone's in no man's land. Some of the closest battle that's going on is back in 14th, but all eyes on Brian Johnson, trying to become our 4th driver this season to win a race. 4 races, 4 different winners. Hey, you love to see the diversity kicking in, but lap traffic could be a detrimental point as Brian Johnson is now catching up to that of Ryan Bird. But out of the final chicane, coming across the line, it's your freaky fast white flag for the 28 of Brian Johnson. Just a little bit over 3.5 miles to go for this 28 machine to get his win here for season 4.
Yeah, still boasting a 7-second lead over Zach Hall. So exactly what I just talked about is going to come into play here on this last lap. Maybe, though, Sam, what does change it up, the biggest reason why he would let off is not wanting to risk going around these lap cars here. So you actually bring up a pretty good point. He's got to work his way around this 49 car, or he can kind of sit back. He has the time to let that 49 go and build himself a little bit of a buffer so that he ensures there's not going to be any mistakes on either of their parts and ruins what has been such a phenomenal race.
Yeah, I mean, you got the mindset of, hey, I don't want to pass this lap car, don't want to be ruining my race just in case they make a mistake. But at the same time, you also have milestone type of races. Hey, I want to make sure that I finish out this race knowing only the top 10 were on the lead lap, as Ryan Bird is in 11th place, last car on the lead lap, and here comes Johnson on the inside.
Yeah, and the 49 car, he is going to slide up there and allow Brian Johnson to put him a lap down, and he's going to allow only the top 10 drivers here to finish on the lead lap. So, you know, if that's what you want, hey, that's what you're going to get. So, but, you know, before he takes the checkered here, just shout out to Brian Johnson. This has been a phenomenal race, and I think a lot of people, if you want to learn how to run these stock cars at road courses, should go back and take a look at this replay of Brian Johnson.
Whole entire Magnitude 9 team as a whole. I mean, you've got 3 out of the top 5 are all Magnitude 9 into the final NASCAR chicane. It's Brian Johnson hitting his marks perfectly like he did all night long, and now heading to the front stretch for the Daytona Grand Prix presented by Max Motorsports. It's Brian Johnson, our 4th winner of the season out of 4 races. The trend continues, and the 28 back in victory lane.
Yeah, phenomenal job by 28 and Zach Hall there. He really didn't have a shot to catch Brian Johnson, but he took care of what he could take care of. He got second place here tonight, and a good run by Hall. Vincent Sora is going to be crossing the finish line here soon in 3rd. Mark Whitley 4th, and Nick Crawford in that 11 car. A nice rebound here tonight is going to be getting that top 5.
And then in 4th, you see Mark Whitley coming across the line. And we're keeping our eyes out on all the drivers, because not every driver has officially finished this lap. And we've seen drivers, even on Monday night when we were at Lime Rock Park in the Truck Series, there was a lot of changing moves from drivers that made mistakes on the final lap, didn't cross the line because they got stuck in the wall, and actually lost multiple positions, as Thompson Check going to be coming across 6th, 7th. Is Cedric Hunter, who's just coming across the line, and Max Foner, Danny Cochran, they're both, as well as Thomas Walter, the final drivers on the lead lap, still all out on track.
Yeah, and shout out to the 57 Toyota of Thomas Walter, qualifying 16th here, ran a very solid, consistent race. And again, one of those drivers that we talked about, Sam, a top 10 on a road course in this deep of a league. He's going to take this every night of the week, as he'll be walking away with some really decent points.
Oh, absolutely. As Max Foner going to now cross the line. It's now the battle for that of 6th position. Thomas Walter right there. This could be a last lap pass. They still have the coming through into the NASCAR chicane. Thomas Walter is going to be diving it deep, but not close enough. Danny Cochran able to hold on for 9th, and 10th goes to Thomas Walter.
Yeah, and that's not easy to do when you know it's the last lap and you got to go through one of the toughest parts of the course. The 57 car of Thomas Walter gaining just a little bit there, but the number 2 car of Danny Cochran keeping it cool and collective, bringing home 9th.
Well, the wind down lap is over, and the car with the faces gets to burn it down. It's Brian Johnson back in victory lane, the most winningest driver from season 3. It took him about 4 races, but he is now finally back here. Daytona road course, goes to the 28, who gets the ding it into the outside wall, trying to keep burning it down on the straightaway, but without baked it is can be difficult at times. Our top 3, Brian Johnson, Zach Hall, Vincent Sora. Those are the 3 drivers that both myself and Brandon get to interview with here in just a few. Thanks for joining us on Freaky Fast Broadcasting post-race show. In just a few moments, we'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series for the Daytona Grand Prix, presented by Max Motorsports. Race number 4, won by another driver. We're 4 for 4 for different drivers winning. That means 4 positions have been locked up into the playoffs. Only the top 16 get to move on. So you are running out of time here as we're inching closer and closer to halfway. But before we get to the end of this, we got to talk to our top 3. Starting things off with Vincent Sora in the 15. Vincent, it's Sam up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I hear me.
Well, Vinny, you had a great race here tonight, top 3, qualified in second. But man, tonight it seemed like a marathon for most. How was it for yourself?
It was pretty good. Good points today after a rough start to the season. Obviously not the finishes I wanted the last couple of weeks, so pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the result. I knew I was going to have good pace because I'm pretty good on the road courses. Brian and Zach are usually in a separate zip code like always, so I wasn't really expecting to compete with them, but pretty happy with how it ended.
Yeah, Vinny, we saw some drivers having issues with lap traffic. How do you feel lap traffic was working for you being the third driver in line?
It actually wasn't too bad. Everyone was pretty courteous all night. Pretty appreciative of all the lap cars out there.
Well, road course racing coming to a close. We're going back to oval racing in these next couple of races. How are you feeling about those upcoming races coming up?
I feel really good. Pocono is one of my better tracks. I don't know what's after that. I think it might be Dover, I believe. Not great there, but hopefully with a little bit of practice, I might be able to get a good run there. But yeah, Pocono is certainly one of my better ones, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Zach and Brian for blowing my doors off tonight, like usual. Danny for the beautiful race car, as always. You guys for broadcasting. You guys do a great job.
That's going to be Vincent Sora in the 15, getting a third place finish here at the Daytona Grand Prix. We will good luck next week, Vinny, for these upcoming races.
All right. Thank you, buddy.
And then we're going to actually be throwing it down to second place where we have Zach Hall, where Brandon's waiting to talk to Mr. Hall.
Hey, Zach, Brandon up here. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Hey, a phenomenal run here. P2, I think the majority of the time you'd be happy with. But coming into the road course here tonight, you were the heavy favorite, winning two of those last season. And I think it probably starts with the qualifying time, qualifying ninth here, having to work your way up through that top 10, really never getting to see the back bumper of Brian Johnson. Uh, are you disappointed in the P2? Were you disappointed in the qualifying, or are you just happy to get this 40 lap marathon out of the way with the P2?
Yeah, it's one of those bittersweet races right there. I think I ran really good. Uh, the qualifying lap was so unfortunate. Unfortunately, we got some pretty strict qualifying scrutiny on, and I just slid the rear end a little bit and got a black flag. So and I didn't know it wouldn't count the lap. So when I came back around, it didn't count the lap, and I was like, oh, I got to go after I'd already left after I'd started past start finish line. I probably would have started second with the lap, so I probably would have been on pole. I think it was a high 52 most likely. But yeah, I mean that yeah. At the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to. I knew just with Brian being a teammate outside of this league and stuff, we worked together so much with road courses that it was going to be a qualifying battle. Whoever got out front and could lead the laps was going to be really in control of the race, and he just had to pretty much control the entire race. I didn't do the best job through the second stint of the race either, but I'm just happy personally to drive back to where I was. I think I was like 15 seconds back at one point to get to 7 seconds
Hmm.
within them. I can take that as somewhat of a pat on the back, but yeah, it's a bittersweet one, man. I want to win these road course races because I know I'm really good at them, but I got a tough competitor like Brian, so when you get beat by him, you just gotta give the everything up to him for putting it all together tonight.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a moral victory there. And of course, trying to climb your way through the point standings. Consistency is going to be key. I talked about it a little bit at the end of this race. It's such a deep league here. I mean, the fourth race of the week, four different winners. Talk to us a little bit about working with your teammate and just trying to work your way up through these point standings.
Yeah, it was a rough start the first 2 weeks. We were down to 33rd points. Was able to get the win last week. Kind of stole that one, luckily. So got a little lucky there last week. I was hoping maybe to come here and get back to back, but I knew if just keeping my head on straight and not making any big mistakes. Made really one big mistake the whole race, just jumping a curb. And I actually think I got damaged from it. I didn't even know I took my fast repair, so somehow took that on one of the stops. But yeah, just one of the races where good points night. Got some good stage points too with the way the stage played out there at lap 20. Led a few laps with the way I stayed out an extra lap. So got the most points I possibly could have here tonight, and I'll take second. I was kind of worried if I was even going to get back there with the pace of Vincent and like Cedric and them, who unfortunately teammate Cedric he had that 40-second hold, so that really took him out of any contention there in the top three. But just overall good night here at Daytona, and we'll see if when we get back to turning left and right, I can get him at Watkins Glen maybe.
Yeah, beautiful run here tonight, Zach. Who's the big shout outs going to here tonight?
Well, first of all, big shout out to you guys in the booth. Always a pleasure to go back and watch it. I'm gonna have to go back and watch this one. I know was a grueling long one. My legs are feeling it, so I got to shout out to you guys for getting it done up in the booth here tonight, and was definitely much appreciated. Thank you to all the drivers out there tonight. I know sometimes I may have got a little frustrated with lap traffic a few times, but it's with when you're playing a game of hundredths of a second with Brian Johnson trying to catch him, you kind of can't give up anytime. So it was maybe a little harsh with some people, but most people were really good with their decisions and how they wanted to let me by, or if they didn't let me by, or whatever. So I got to shout out to all the drivers out there, and not only that, but the admins. They put on a great show here week in and week out with the way they run the league. And then last but not least, my two teammates, Brandon Colley and Cedric Hunter. They really kept me motivated during the whole race and kept me in it, trying to catch that number 28. Just couldn't get it done here tonight, but we'll take P2.
All right, Zach, we appreciate your time. That second place driver here at the Daytona Road Course, Zach Hall. We're going to throw it over to my teammate here in the broadcast booth, Sam Dyer, as we pull in the number 28 car, your race winner, Brian Johnson.
Brian, it's Sam up in the booth. It's been a while since you've been in Victory Lane. It's been since the beginning of August since the last time you were in Victory Lane for the NAISCC Cup drivers. But the most winningest driver from last season back in Victory Lane. How does this one feel winning in kind of a dominating fashion?
Well, it always feels pretty good. It's a shame Zach had that the issue with qualifying because it was definitely going to be I think between me and him. So I would have liked for him to be up there, but I'll take take a little bit of an easy pass on that one. But yeah, I mean, anytime I can beat Zach Hall at a road course, I will take it. And take it 100%. So, because he's hard to beat, you got to be perfect. And I had a couple of moments tonight. So, you know, luckily I was just far enough ahead to where I had some time to play with. But yeah, you just with Zach Hall on road courses, you got to be perfect. And uh, you know, unfortunately for him, his qualifying wasn't perfect. So, you got to be good through all the phases of the racing, and we got it done.
I mean, Brian, you have been the most consistent driver throughout this early part of this season. Now, finally getting your first win of the season. But how does it feel? I mean, as a whole, your team, Magnitude 9, had to recreate a new team coming into this season. But as a team, you guys have all been shining so well in the early portions. How are you guys feeling as a group after tonight?
Definitely pretty good. We haven't had too much of some bad luck. Hadn't got caught up in many wrecks. I think Nick got caught up in one last week though. But other than that, it's been pretty decent. So yeah, I mean, consistency is always key. If you can't win the race, then shoot for second. And if you can't get second, then shoot for third. So I think that's what we've been doing, and just got to keep it up.
Absolutely. Well, you've been the man with faces on the car. How does it feel getting that scheme to victory lane?
It was pretty good. I had it was late one night. It was 2 or 3 weeks ago. I had Danny. He uh he made that for me because we had one with Zach on the hood. He's like, well, what about if we get one with Cedric on the hood? So we got Cedric on there. We got Brandon Colley on the back, Zach on the back, and Cedric on the back. And I think Sam, you're on the C pillars on both sides. So that's pretty cool.
Get to see it now on the broadcast. But Brian, congratulations on your win here tonight. We're going to Pocono and then Dover, and then we're back to road course racing at the Glen. How are you feeling about this next three race track that we're coming up to?
I mean, definitely, I think this is going to be probably the strongest part of the season for me with those tracks. Always been really good at Pocono and Dover, and Watkins Glen. That's another one where we'll have to battle Zach with. But yeah, I think with the other tracks on the schedule later after this little bit, um, definitely have to be extra consistent and try to be extra dominant in the next 3 weeks to kind of create a points gap.
Absolutely. Well, Brian, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
But definitely got to shout out you guys. I know how these road course races can be, especially 45 laps at the Daytona Roval. This was a long one. I'm beat. I'm sweating all over. I need to change of clothes. But I got to thank you guys for doing the great job that you do, and everybody that tuned in. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And then all the drivers at this league. The league's nothing without the drivers. And tonight, lap traffic was pretty good for me. So shout out to all of them, and then of course my teammates Nick Crawford and Hunter Hayward. Hunter Hayward unfortunately has been busy the past couple weekends, so he hadn't been able to race. But shout out to them, and then yeah, shout out to the admins and Zach Hall too. Everything that I know at road courses and everything that's gotten me better at road courses really comes from him. So definitely got to give him a shout out as well.
Well, that is Brian Johnson in the 28 Magnitude 9 team. Congratulations on your win here tonight, giving you a berth into the playoffs. And Brian, congratulations on this win and good luck in these next couple of weeks.
Thank you, sir.
Well, that's Brian Johnson, the 28, who gets the victory done. But Brandon, what a race it has been as we get to take a look at the results of how tonight went. I mean, it has been 45 laps here at the Daytona Road Course. It was a long one for the drivers, long one for us. But man, all the drivers putting their best foot forward here tonight as we take a look at the results. Top 10 being Brian Johnson, Zach Hall, Vincent Sora, Mark Whitley, Nick Crawford, Tom Sinchek, Cedric Hunter, Max Foner, Danny Cochran, and 10th place going to that of Thomas Walter. The only drivers on the lead lap is our top 10. Everyone else going a lap down. But Brandon, what a race it was.
Yeah, it really was. Sometimes you go into a race really not expecting anything, right? And you're just going to go with the flow. But tonight's race blew my expectations away. I think we saw some first class racing here, a lot of skill out there. And I'm not just talking about the guys that are up front or Brian Johnson, who dominated the race, but the guys that were in the back. The radio communication between drivers in this league, allowing these drivers to have the room and almost mistake free. I don't think there was at least we didn't catch any a car that was on the lead lap get into a scuffle with a driver he was trying to pass. So I think satisfied with this, happy with this is an understatement. I loved it. It was everything that I want in a road course race here with the Cup cars, and they did not disappoint.
Absolutely not. And like we heard from the drivers, upcoming races going to be Pocono, Dover, Watkins Glen, our next 3 as the fireworks are shooting off here tonight. Drivers are happy the night's over, and it is a long one, but a satisfying race. Brian Johnson with the victory here tonight. But like all of our broadcasts, we got one more person that needs to finish out the call, so we're going to be sending it up to our production booth to give our final calls to that of Robert Moyer Jr. for tonight's end of the race.
All right. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Brandon. Great calling here tonight. Tough call in road course racing. You guys did one heck of a job here at Daytona Road Course, and as we see the beautiful fireworks go off here at Daytona International Speedway, congratulations to Brian Johnson. That makes it 4 different drivers, 4 weeks, 4 different drivers to win, so that just tells you the talent of this league. It's a it's a tough league to win at, so to get a victory, it goes a long way, and that helps you get you in, in the top 20, and you stay in the top 20 with the win, you're locked into the playoffs. So again, congratulations to Brian Johnson, congratulations to Zach Hall, Vince Sora, Mark Whitley, and Nick Crawford finishing out the top 5 here at Daytona. But the man, like I said, Brian Johnson, the man of power with all faces basically on his car. He's got the man of the power on his car of Sam Dyer and everybody, which is carry it on, I guess, get a win. But with that being said, our next televised broadcast will be Monday night with the Truck Series with the NAISCC Truck Series at 8:50. Go live around 8:50 to 8:55 Eastern. So make sure you tune in as we go to the Not Legacy, Texas, as it is a bounty out for Vincent Sora. If somebody can beat him, they win some cash. So we'll have to see how that all plays out, as we will have Zach Hall and Sam Dyer calling all the action Monday night. But with that being said, from the virtual site of Daytona, thank you to iRacing, thank you to all our sponsors. But we will catch everybody Monday night, hopefully out there on YouTube. If this is your first time watching, don't forget to hit that bell button, subscribe button, and you also can hit that share button and share it to your favorite social media platforms. We do much appreciate that, very, very much. But with that being said, everybody have a great rest of your Saturday night. Have a great Sunday. Be safe. If you're on the East Coast, it is trick-or-treating after the Northeaster that we had. So we got trick-or-treating coming up tomorrow night. So with that being said, be safe and give out some candy, and hopefully you don't get some spooks and scares. But with that being said, we're going to sign off here. God bless everybody. We love you all. Peace out.